Like some people have said, you've saved my marriage, you've saved my life.
This isn't just fitness.
You don't really realize it when you're doing it, because each week you're just taking off like half a kilo, or you're just taking off a kilo, and you're just kind of egging them on and encouraging them and being their cheerleader.
It's small changes, stacked over time.
I kind of isolated myself. I was in the pool. It's just your head's under the water. So,
But it didn't start there.
You've got to have the discipline to do it. I just find that quite cool.
Because discipline became the foundation.
You just find like the inner energy within yourself from actually doing exercise, because you'll get fitter.
And that's where everything changes. This is Danny Hands.
Hello, humans. Welcome to the M-Word podcast, brought to you by Martin. That's me.
And Matt.
And Matt, that's you. Matt, hello. Hello, Danny. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So we're going to dig into bodybuilding. Obviously, Matt and I could do some lessons in that. We'll dig into your business, supplements, etc. But what struck me, and I guess it's probably a load of I answer my own question, but your background, just being in the corporate space, servicing clients, I guess that ultimately, when you decide to go on your own, that it is a skill. That then servicing those clients is an important part of that. So yeah, so let's take us back to just a sort of cap on what you did pre the interest and stuff, should we say?
Yeah, it's probably not the most conventional sort of route into what I do now, but my first job was B&Q. Started there literally 15 was having an interview. You're not allowed to be employed until you're 16. So I started there on my 16th birthday, stayed there until I was 20, moved from there to Manx Telecom, just because I was interested in phones. It wasn't when you're 20, you want an iPhone, so they give you a free one on contract, so I wanted to work there. And then I stayed within Manx Telecom for probably around 9 years. I went from sales in the shop to managing the shop to then going up to the corporate, and then got a bit of exposure to like businesses and sitting in rooms full of directors and selling to them, and then confidence kind of grew from there. And then I moved from there to WiMAX, which is now, it was called Elite Group, and then it's now called Naventra, I think it's called now. Mm-hmm. And then from there, that's when I decided like I was going in, I wasn't enjoying it. The money was very good, but you can make money doing anything. So it was like, started coaching on the side,
right?
And then decided, when I earned enough from the coaching, it was kind of covering the mortgage payment, or my half of the mortgage payment. So I'm going to quit the other job, and then I can just put all my eggs in this basket.
Yeah. And had sport always been interweaved with you all the way through growing up?
So I swam for the island I started in the aquadrome, so that was probably when I was 4 or 5. My mum tells me I was 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I must have been pretty young. And then I obviously the NSC opened, and I started competing for like Douglas, and then we started going off island and doing that sort of thing. And then when you turn 16 and you get your driving license, like training 6 days a week in the cold pool and the NSC in the morning wasn't for me. I just decided that was probably the age I started to get a little bit more, felt out of sport as such. I played squash as well, Manx Youth Games, did squash at that sort of level. But swimming was always my sport, and it requires a lot of discipline. And I think probably the most similar sport to that, because the amount of training you've got, 2 hours in the pool, and your nutrition has to be good, and you can't just go and have pizzas all the time. So like that's transitioned across to sort of bodybuilding, I suppose. I just like to not be restricted, but like have, when you're in control of what you're doing, in terms of like, you've got to have the discipline to do it. I just find that quite cool. Whereas some sports, like, I'm not going to slander anyone, but let's just like look at Luke Littler. Like, he can eat whatever he wants, whenever he wants. He can drink pints during the matches. And like, I can't get away with that in the sport I do. So it's like an extreme discipline. It's probably one of the more tougher sports, because it's not just performing for 90 minutes. You've got to perform during your gym sessions. Meals have to be on time, sleep has to be optimal, all that sort of stuff. So kind of similar to swimming, similar to like anything that's high end. So I just enjoy that type of pressure, I suppose.
Can I ask a question about swimming? So I'm not knowing the type of distances you do. Nowadays, swimmers a lot of the shorter distance swimmers are a lot more bulky. Back then, were you, I don't know, even back then, it's probably not so much. So it was more skinny whippers.
I was probably about half the weight I am now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was up to 16.
Right.
I sort of stopped when I was 16. So I'd probably say I was around 50, 60 kilograms, which is
right,
quite light, quite thin. But the distances depended. Most of them were, I want to say like 200. Some of them were 400 meters. So the NSC pool's 25 meters. So it was like maybe 8 lengths.
Yeah, right.
And then if you did the medleys, which was like butterfly, backstroke, all four strokes, that one would be like an 800. So that one was a bit more tiring, but you would train for hours and hours and hours and hours, and then you would practice sprints. So you might do a 100-meter relay where you basically do 2 lengths and then the other person jumps in. So you train for all these different types, but it kind of trained you across the board of distance and endurance versus like high output. One of the drills they got us to do, I remember, was disgusting, was you'd hold the wall and you'd kick as hard as you possibly could. You're obviously not going anywhere. And then they blow the whistle, and then you had to tumble turn, kick off the wall, and then race to the other end. But you're already fatigued, so they'd have you kicking for a minute, and then you'd be like, please just blow that whistle. And then they blow it, and then you were like, that was you, and they made you,
lactic hell.
Yeah. That was just, you get out of the pool, and your legs would be like when you've got off a bike, when you've just put in like a sprint, and your legs do feel like yours. I do remember that sort of.
And what age did you start going to the gym?
I want to say about 19.
Okay.
So that age between 16 and 19 was kind of, I went into sixth form. I played a bit of football. I did some cross country and stuff like that. But there was no sport that was like my identity because I kind of fell out of love with swimming. It was too much. It was just, you would compete on the weekends. You'd have 4 days of training during the week, and then that training would be before school or after school. As you know, it's a lot of time in the water, and everyone else was doing normal stuff like playing football on a team, and then afterwards or before they'd hang around with lads, and I kind of isolated myself. I was in the pool. You're in there 2 hours, you don't speak to anyone.
No.
It's just your head's under the water. So I didn't really like that. I wanted it to be more of a team thing. So then I started playing football for Onken way back in the day. And that was more just to be around everyone that was in my year at school and try and make sort of new friendship groups outside of swimming. So I was pretty good at most sports. Like, I wasn't great at them. I was like okay at most of them. I was good at swimming. And then bodybuilding, I think it's just, you get out what you put in and that. Like, you have to have good genetics, but you don't have to be like extremely gifted. It's not like you're born as Cristiano Ronaldo and you're the best bodybuilder. It's like all the work you put in, accumulative over years, consistency and stuff. So with that, you don't have to be necessarily rich or gifted or have rich parents that are going to buy you very expensive bikes so that you're the best cyclist and pay for you to do all of these, different events and different competitions and stuff like that.
So when you first went to the gym, was bodybuilding in your mind, or was it,
no,
I'm 19, I just want to look a bit better and
got a little bit fat
for the ladies?
I had the car, so I wasn't exercising as much. And then I started going to McDonald's, and then realised I could make money out of that. So at like lunch, I was one of the first people to pass at 16. So I'd say, right, I've got 4 seats in the car. You want to look at you all pay me £2 petrol, drove down, dropped them off, would eat my Mackies, then go back and then take another group of people.
Oh, right.
So I'd make quite a bit of money.
Uber.
Yeah, I'd make like 20 quid at lunchtime, which paid for my petrol for the week, back when petrol was a bit cheaper. So yeah, that's kind of, I gained a bit of weight, and then I joined Carrefour, which was, well, it's just moved now, but it was where the original one was in Wellington Street. So that has been there for probably around 15 years ago. That was when I joined there, and that was back, that was a long time ago. I just went in the morning at 6 a.m, had no idea what I was doing, and I thought I'll just go on the treadmill and I'll run. And I was okay at running because I had basic fitness, so I just ran, and then I thought that was going to make me muscly. It obviously didn't. It just made me lose fat, and I got even skinnier. So then I started doing a little bit of research. Back then, you didn't have the internet; you just had Men's Health, and I'd go into TK Maxx. I wouldn't buy, not TK Maxx, WH Smith, and then I'd get the magazine and read it and never buy it. I'd just read through some of the stuff because I didn't have £3 on me. And then I'd read it and go, I'm going to try that workout tomorrow. And then just went in and then kind of learned from there. But I think the more you go in, you get a bit of respect from the older guys. So we had like Neil Nicol, you probably know him, Derek Kane. He lives in America now, but like they were the 2 guys that when I went in there, they seen that I was putting the work in. They come over and say, try this, or you're doing that wrong, like not in a negative way. But
yeah, I know, just there to support you.
Yeah, just like I'm 6, 7, 18 years old at the time, and they're saying like, just try this, and they're huge, and I'm like, I want to look like that. And then that's kind of the first exposure to bodybuilding was with Derek when I seen him, and he was competing at the time, and it's the only person I knew that was a competitor, and he just looked like the Hulk.
Right.
And I'm like 60 kilos and he's 100, and I'm just thinking, I want to look like that. And it kind of just evolved from there, really. I just always had like that desire to go in and push myself.
So let's talk about that weightlifting arena, because I guess I don't know much about it. So I see like Mr. Universe, there's then physique type of, I guess, shows, and then bodybuilding. Are they all like, give us a headline? Give us a headline of what we're looking at here.
Bodybuilding as a general is gaining weight, gaining muscle, and then obviously losing the fat. So you go through cycles of bulking, which I'm doing now. So I'm 105 kilos at the moment. And then my stage weight's 80. So for that show, I'll drop 30 kilo. And I'll do that in like 12 to 16 weeks, which is, some people.
But you're cranky during that period, aren't you?
Well, my food at the moment is 6,000 calories per day.
Right.
So when I come down, I don't have to come down to the levels. I do get grouchy the last couple of months, but that's all part and parcel.
Is that all controlled via food then?
It's all food, yeah.
So just like there's not. Would you be changing your workout regimen in that sense?
Workout to weight training would not change really, unless I started to pick up a lot of fatigue. Like rep ranges and everything stay the same, but cardio maybe added.
Yeah, okay.
But for my last show, I did no cardio. I didn't need to.
Pure food.
I got my food so high. My body at the moment is not gaining weight at all. I mean, 6,000 calories. So when I bring that down to 5, my body's like, oh, lose 5 kilo. And it's shocking.
So your body just processing 6,000. And that is that one, you like, see, I guess it's 2,500, 3,000 normally for a male, I guess. Yeah. Is your body, is that you burning that through the exercise, or is it a combination of that and your body is just used to needing more fuel and therefore just processes more?
It's like metabolic adaptation. So if you starve yourself and you eat as a man, you should probably have around 2,500 to 3,000-ish. So you start eating 1,800, eventually 1,800 will be your maintenance and your body will just it'll adapt to it. And then you're not going to lose or gain any weight at that. You probably slowly lose a little bit of weight, but it's not going to be drastic. So your body gets used to it. So I push my food up gradually. Maybe from the show, I put in 100 or 200 calories a week. And then my body just it will gain weight, but it's gaining weight nice and gradually. I'm not slamming 2 dominoes on it. That sort of thing.
That's what you say.
Do love the dominoes.
So to go back to then the umbrella of bodybuilding, then so that would be separate. So then, talk to me a bit more about.
So you've got obviously male and female.
Yep.
There's a bit of a grey area at the moment. But there's male and female, and then the males, the big ones are just called like open bodybuilders.
Okay.
That's where they can be as heavy as they want and as big as they want, and they wear trunks.
Okay.
They wear like normally like bright colourful, like purple or pink or whatever. Then you come down from that to classic, and that's a weight cap. So for my height, for example, I'd have to be under, I'm going to guess, around like 88 kilo.
Okay.
I think it is. Last time I was on stage, I was 85, so I'm still under that cap. What a lot of people do, cut water to get to that weight, and then afterwards they'll go and chin a 5 guys, and then they'll fill back up.
Yeah.
And then below that, you probably have physique, which is what I do. So not the biggest guys. They wear board shorts down to like sort of 4 inches from the knee. And that is not as muscled, but more like an achievable, athletic looking physique. But over the last few years, it's got a little bit more than that. Like I look back to when I first started competing, most of the guys that are in my height class would be around 60 odd kilo on stage. And I was 85 at the last one, and I wasn't even the biggest there.
Oh, okay.
So it's just kind of evolved. And I think every year people are going to get bigger. So they've made a new category in the women's side, and I think they'll do it in the men's. And that'll probably be weight capped to...
It's similar to the other way.
Yeah, and then the women's has got like, depending on the federation, but they've got like open like females where they're massive. You would see them and be like, wow. And then they come down as like toned, athletic figure. And then they've got bikini. Bikini's like, again, same as I do. It's what my wife does. It's like where you'd see her in a normal clothes and you wouldn't think she's a bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. You'd see her on holiday and you'd probably think, oh, she's in good shape. But you wouldn't be like, wow, she's like a big meathead. Mm-hmm. And then below that, they've got now fitness model, which is supposed to be the achievable, attainable. Within a year of going to the gym, most people could achieve that sort of look. It's not about having like big veiny arms as a girl. It's just like a nice look. Yeah. So that's kind of, I think they're going to open that up in the men's as well. But they've got multiple categories. And I started in the lowest one, which is men's physique, and I'm still there. But because of swimming, well, this is kind of my logic. Because of swimming, I built like wide clavicles, wide shoulders from years and years and years of swimming. And it's just kind of, I've got a nice tiny waist and really wide shoulders. Oh, yeah. It's a good structure, so it suits me. Whereas if I went into open bodybuilding, I just wouldn't look like but I belong in that class.
All right.
Because some of those guys on stage are like 120 kilos for my height. So it's all, maybe one day, if I keep the cycles going of like bulking and cutting and bulking and cutting.
And is that the goal then, is to, how you kind of describe that going down as, again, in my head, probably wrongly when I think like boxing and the weights and that sort of sense, is the goal there, are you trying to move up, let's call it the classes, or do you find that because of dimensions, height, weight, you are potentially restricted in some classes compared to others, and then as you go, you find your fit, I guess? It'd
be similar to like boxing or fighting. Like Conor McGregor, for example, is never going to be an ultra heavyweight He's just not going to get there, no matter how much he trains, no matter how much food he eats. He's never going to get to that level. And then some people like Tyson Fury are never going to come down to ultra lightweight or anything like that.
It might be quite funny if he did.
It'd be funny to watch those. But it is gradual. So when I first started physique, I thought I'll do this for a few years and then maybe move into classic. And I did try a classic show where you wear the trunks. But then when I looked back, I was like, my legs weren't big enough. I wasn't in proportion. Like my lower wasn't as good as my upper. So I either need to train that way where I train legs twice a week and upper would take a sort of back seat, or I carry on down the physique route where it's more like, it's not about just getting as big as possible. It's about refining the physique. So my feedback 18 months ago was my back needed more thickness and more density. So instead of doing back twice a week, I would do it twice a week, and then I'd have a leg day, which would involve some more pulling. And then that would build the thickness, and I just add a lot more volume into back rather than chest, for example. Okay. So the training is obviously specific and dependent on what you need to improve.
And what you're talking potentially doing those ones, not trying. Is there a high prestige for the Open, or is that what people try to aspire to? And
the pay is better for the bigger classes. Everyone wants to see the freak, don't they? You don't go to the circus to look at the average person. So when you watch like Olympia, which is like, I don't know, the World Cup of bodybuilding, the prize money is split, but like just let's for easy money, like say they make $1 million for the open bodybuilders, 500 grand for the classic guys, and then maybe 200 grand for the men's physique. But the men's physique guys are like, we train as hard, we diet as hard. They're actually probably leaner in terms of body composition versus some of the bigger classes, because it's more about mass monsters there. But I feel like it's slowly getting a bit more. Some of them, like Ryan Terry, who's won it 3 years in a row, he's British, and he's now like saying that this isn't really fair. It's almost like equal rights with women's pay and stuff like that. Women don't get paid as much as the men, and the women's is also tiered in a way that the bigger ones, the more freaky ones, the people come to watch. And I get it, because that's the one that's attracting the most, but they should have a little bit more of a gap between some of them. But yeah, I wouldn't want to go up to that sort of level, because it's just on your health. Like, it's not great for your health anyway, being 105 kilos and eating 6,000 calories a day. My poor liver and kidneys trying to break down all that protein all the time. So it's not something you do for years and years and years. But it's, I would love to go into the next class, but what I'll do is I'm going to take this entire year off. I compete in 22, 23, 24, 25. So that's 4 years on the bounce. So 26, I'm not going to compete. I'm just going to try and get as big as I can, and then see where I fall once I finish the bulking phase. And if I look at it and think, you know what, I could probably do a classic here, then that's when I'll start to, again, move down into a dieting phase and aim for that class.
So you're almost spending a year bulking?
Well, my last show was September. I did a surprise one in October. But yeah, so October, November, December, January, and then my next one will be, so it'll probably be around 18 months, this bulk.
Right, wow.
It's a long time. There will be phases in there where I get to a point where I can't eat food anymore. And I've had it where I'm blending food, bananas, oats, protein powder, drinking it, and then I'm retching up with the sink. And then I'm like, great, now I've got to make it again, drink it. And the calories have gone down the sink, down the drain. So it's not comfortable, but that's
it's like a great hobby.
Yeah. Well, people always go, I could eat 5,000 calories, and I'm like, not have potato rice and that sort of thing. And I do have, it's not as strict. Like I've just had free fajitas before I come. But when you think about it, it's free tortilla wraps, steak, peppers. I put some Heinz beans in there instead of like salsa, and then that's some cheese. And that's a nice meal. And most people would eat that most days of the week. I get to eat that every day. So I get bored of it, and then I might switch it for, I don't know, chili con carne, spag. So my foods aren't like rice, chicken, and veg every day like everyone thinks it is. You can fit. That's what our coaching is as well. We give people fun food. Like I put in some people's food, like fake eating mess, which is strawberries, Greek yogurt, meringue mess, and they're like, can I eat that? I'm like, as long as you don't eat the whole thing of meringue mess. But it's all about balancing those calories and stuff like that. So food-wise, it gets a bit, obviously it's two ends of the extreme. It's in the middle between when I finish the show, September to like October, November. I'm absolutely like ravenous because I've just starved myself for a show. And then I've not got a goal now, so I'm just trying not to eat everything. And then you slowly get the calories up to maybe 3,500. You start to feel a bit more, let's just say, satisfied with the food. And then there's a good couple of months where it's like a happy medium and you're getting on great. And then all of a sudden, appetite's gone. And that's where I'm at the moment. I'm just like, I'm eating those fajitas and I'm like, I'm indigestion for an hour. Got a bottle of Rennie next to me. And then I've got another meal to eat once I'm finished here. And I'll eat that and go to bed. And that'll be my sixth meal of the day. And my first meal I ate at 2:30 this morning. So it's a long day, but you have to space them out.
So are you regimented there half a half to eat then? Or is that just...
Yeah, my alarm goes off at 2:15, and then I'll go down and I'll pour, it's like oats, it's my first meal. So I'll pour the boiling water in, leave them to set, do my morning supplements and stuff like that, bring the bowl upstairs, and then I sit at my desk for 2 hours and start work. And while I'm starting, like, because I've got like, say, 10 check-ins to do for clients that checked in from now till the morning, I'll sit and read through what their feedback is, what the challenge has been while I'm eating my oats. And then I'll probably, because it's quite a big bowl, it's 150 grams of oats, it's a big bowl. So I'll do maybe one check-in, then I'll start reading the next one, I'll have a few spoons, and I kind of do it while I'm working.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I'm not even thinking about the food. And then by the time I've had that, I've got like an hour before I go to the gym, so it's digested and good to go. Go to the gym, train for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, come home, and then I have a huge bowl of cereal, probably 180 grams. So a normal serving of Cocoa Pops is 30 grams. So it's a mixing bowl. It's got honey in it. It's protein powder mixed in as well. So like, again, I do exactly the same. I'll sit and do my check-ins after the gym. So it's almost like 2 work blocks separated by me training. And yeah, that's kind of how my mornings go. But then by sort of 10 a.m., I've had 2 very large meals, probably consumed around 2,500 calories by then. What most people eat in a day before sort of 9 a.m. And then the rest of the meals throughout the day are just kind of maybe 12-ish, 11:30, something like that. Then maybe 1:30, 2:00. And then I have one about 4:30, and then I have one about 6:30. So those ones are a little bit closer, but they're not as big, because the ones around your training window are normally like, you know, if you're going for a big run, you'll have like a big pre-meal and a big post-meal to sort of recover. And then the rest of the meals can be a little bit smaller, and they can be a little bit more fun as well.
So you're in bed by 8?
I'm asleep by 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So normally, it depends on the day, because sometimes I'll have something like this, or I might have a call and someone's finished work at 5. So they can have a call at 5, and then that'll run 5 till 5:30. And then once I've done that call, last meal goes in, go and put on some telly, and then normally just drift off. But when you've been up that long, you don't really hang around for long when you're watching the telly. You're like, I was watching Captain America last night, and I think I didn't even get to the bit before he went in the machine. And that's how soon, and I was asleep by like maybe 20 minutes in. And then the alarm goes off at 2:30.
And that routine of that 2:30, is that primarily because it's client, because you need
it's client focused, it's client focused. But I do that 7 days a week, so even on Sundays, because I find that if I don't do that on a Sunday and I lie in and say I just turn my alarm off and sleep until 5, Monday's a hell of a lot harder because you've broken that routine. It's almost like you do that for 2 days or 3 days, and all of a sudden it's impossible to get up. But most clients, I like to split them into 2 work blocks. So I've got clients that will check in from today, so say like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, all the way up until midnight. They'll check in, and then I'll do their ones as soon as I wake up, 2:30, 3:30. They wake up in the morning at 7, 8, normal, reasonable time, and they'll wake up and they'll have their response, they'll have all their changes, they'll have their plan for the week. So I started doing that because when I started coaching, I had a full-time 9-to-5 job. So that was the only time I could sit and do it. I couldn't sit there at 9 o'clock and do check-ins. And I just found that I got more from it. Like when I wake up at that time in the morning, I'm just like super focused.
Yeah, there's no one bothering you either, is there?
No one's replying, no one's messaging you, asking questions. Very rarely. I've got a few people that work like emergency services who are up, and they'll be like replying because they're on shift. But the majority of the time, my WhatsApp is absolutely silent. And then that means I can do all my work and get all the plans out. And someone needs a new workout plan or a new meal plan, whatever it might be, make those changes in the morning, send them over. They wake up, and then if they've got any questions, they'll fire them over at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. But that's my peak busiest time, is from about 7 when people start waking up. I want to have like 80% of my work done for the day, because the WhatsApps and the messages that come through are like a different level. I'm talking I actually counted them last week. It was 3,800 WhatsApps within 7 days, Monday to Sunday. Because you know, on your iPhone, how you've got your well-being thing, and it tells you you've been on this app for too long. Mine comes up like WhatsApp alerts saying like you've spent like 6 hours today on just WhatsApp. But I've got WhatsApp on my computer, I've got it on my phone, and I'm just kind of always on it. So all these notifications come through, and it might just be someone saying, "Yeah, thanks for that, got it," or it might be someone saying, "That sauce you've got, I don't shop at Tesco, I go to Morrison's because they're in the UK. Can I have this sauce?" And then you go back in and amend it. And so there's a lot of back and forth with getting stuff right.
And how are you dealing with Have you got a portal with clients, or is it?
Yeah, we've got our own app. We've got our own app, dedicated coaching app, and it's Android and Apple, so it's dead simple. Whatever I do on the computer and hit save, you'll get a notification ping straight through, and it'll just say your client, your coach has updated your whatever it is, food plan, training plan. A lot of them like freak out when they get a thing saying I've updated their food because you're taking food away. because they screenshot it and send it me and say, "What have you done?" And then when they watch the video, they'll get a full breakdown of my little head in the corner, the full screen, and I explain what I do.
Oh, okay.
Most of them are like 10 to 15 minutes, like a check-in, and
Right.
most people do that once a week. So I've got 98 clients at the moment.
Wow. Right.
So if you 98 times 10 minutes, if you take an average,
Yeah.
it's a lot of check-in time sitting on
yeah.
a computer. But then each person's going to WhatsApp you as well. And then you've got the more, not needy clients, but clients that need more check-ins because they've got photo shoots or they might have competitions. I've got a few people doing shows this year. So those people don't check in once a week. It's too far apart. So they'll normally do like a Saturday and a Wednesday. And then when they're 8 weeks out, it might be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. And then when they get to about 4 weeks out, it's every single day. So they're going to send me photos every day. They're going to send me the weight, the measurements, how training's been, has sleep been good, have they had an argument with their missus, anything that's going to sort of cause stress or anything to the body, because you have to sort of micromanage it at that point.
Yeah. Right.
But luckily, most of my clients are lifestyle, so a lot of them are once a week, some of them are twice a week. The competing side of it and having competitors is a completely different. I don't think I'd be able to do that.
Right.
Because I'm like obviously a competitor. My coach, I checked in every single day with him for about 6 months.
Right.
And I'm just one of his clients.
Yeah.
And he's operating at like the point where he's turning people pro.
Okay.
So it's like a different level of detail than me just giving Karen a meal plan and telling her that I don't mind which cheese she has. You can have cheddar, you can have mozzarella.
Yeah.
His is like down to the point of you're having 2 grams of pink salt with that meal. You're going to drink 4 litres of water throughout the day, and I want most of it drank before 4 o'clock. You know, that sort of level of detail to make sure that your physique is responding. And so, yeah, that sort of level of coaching's a little bit, it's not above me. It's just not something I'd want to go down because it's a lot of hours. It's very labour intensive. And because we're not in the UK, it's not really practical to bounce to shows. Shows.
So you mentioned a lot of your clientele or lifestyles of guys and girls that come to you. Is it typically, like, give us some examples of what you're looking at? Is people just looking to shift a bit of weight, or?
Yeah, to be fair, we obviously get the January ones, which is very common. We get an influx for holidays, which are going to be May, June, July. So they normally sign up March time because they always think, oh shit, 8 weeks on 12 weeks or the magic number of 12 weeks. Some people need longer. I've got one client, a shout out to Kyle. He was 195 kilo.
Oh, wow.
He's now 110.
Oh, impressive.
So he's been with me 3 years. He was with Gianni for a year before that. And he's shed with me about 45 kilo in 3 years.
Nice.
So it's a lot of weight, especially when it's like he's a big, tall guy as well. So it's like, that's like a long-term one. I've had other guys that have come to me who have split up with a missus, for example, or they're going through a divorce, and they find like reassurance in me sort of being there to help them through that difficult time and going, right, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on. Obviously, you don't want to sit there and focus on your divorce.
Yeah.
So let's focus on
give them some purpose.
The best version of yourself. Giving you a purpose, a direction. And then what happens is like they get to where they want to be and they're happy, but then no one's ever happy. Like if I was paying you 50 grand a year salary and then you were like, I said, I'm going to give you 60. You wouldn't say, no, I don't want any more money. Like you're always going to take more. So when you get to that point where you think you'll be happy, you start looking at what's next. So I get so many clients sign up and they just want to lose weight. They want to build a bit of muscle, get confident, or fit in a size, 32-inch pair of pants. And then the next thing is once they've got there, they say, I've seen that this person did a photo shoot. Do you think I could do that? Like anyone can do a photo shoot. So then that's their next goal. So maybe 4 or 5 months later, they're doing a photo shoot. Once they've done the photo shoot, they've got this unbelievable confidence.
I was going to say, I imagine you see people going through this kind of confidence journey.
It's unbelievable. That's why I left the main job, because even money aside, I would have took a massive pay cut to see that in some people. Like some people have said, you've saved my marriage, you've saved my life, that sort of thing. And you don't really realise it when you're doing it, because each week you're just taking off like half a kilo, or you're just taking off a kilo, and you're just kind of egging them on and encouraging them and being their cheerleader. And then all of a sudden you look back and you think, in the last year, like this guy's resting heart rate was 120. He's now at 50. He can now run a 5K. It's just changing stuff like that in people's lives where they just feel confident within themselves. Like I had one of the most dramatic ones I've ever had is a girl called Charlie. And she signed up when she tried on a wedding dress, and she absolutely hated it because she could only pick the ugly dresses because none of the other ones, like you call them mermaid tails, where they kind of go in and out. She wanted one of those, but she was like, I'm not going to look right in it. And then she sent me the photo of the dress she was buying, the photo of the one she wanted. I think it was around 8 months, her transformation. She pulled off her like 30 odd kilo. And then I've got her before picture of her stood in the dress she hated. And then I've got the photo of her stood in the dress that she said she wanted to wear, and she looked absolutely unbelievable. And if I put that on tomorrow as an advert, I was like, even though I just post that tomorrow, I'll get 5 people sign up.
Yeah, right.
But at the moment, I'm like I'm not going to say I'm full because I'm always hoping to, like, I try and stay under 100. I'm 98, so there's 2 spaces for someone that needs them. But like, if I wanted 5 clients tomorrow, I can put her photo up and it would just get people, like, people would be, anyone's getting married would be like, do that for me. And it's not me that's done it for her, she's done it for herself because she had that inner sort of, it's motivation from within and what she wants to achieve, and I'm just helping her do it.
And how different range of, like, because I imagine a lot of it is, it's mindset of the people, isn't it? And I was going to say you're more than a coach. I mean, you're coaching, but you coach in many areas, aren't you? You're not just coaching what to eat and maybe exercise. It's the psychological coaching around it, isn't it?
There's a lot of byproducts to it. There's a lot of really positives to it as well. So someone starts losing weight, to do that, they're going to have to prepare their meals. And then that habit, then they're going to start preparing for meetings at work. And then they go to a meeting at work and their boss is like, he's got his shit together. And then all of a sudden they've got a promotion, and then that promotion gives them more money. And then, you know, it's every aspect of life. They might actually start thinking, you know, I maybe need to start paying a bit more attention to this, or maybe they've now got more time for their kids because they're not just sitting and watching Netflix and they just start to get this new energy, a new sort of lease.
Yeah, I'd imagine you hear that a lot from people. But I guess if they haven't exercised, the endorphins, etc., from then exercising.
People get more energy. You put them on lower calories, then it's always going to be lower calories than having terrible food. But you start someone on, like yourself, I'd start you on maybe 2,800, and you think, it's a lot. I'm not going to lose weight on that. But like, you must be eating more than that now to have got to the weight where you've now signed up with me. You eat 2,800 calories, and then in the first week, they're down 2 or 3 kilos of probably just inflammation and water. And then the week after, they drop another 1, and then another 1, and then another 1. And then they start to say, I've got so much more energy and I'm eating less food. But it's not less food, it's just less processed food. And then the energy comes from movement and momentum. It's like, you'll know, you go out for a big run or a big cycle, and you just find like the inner energy within yourself from actually doing exercise, because you'll get fitter, you'll just get more from it. I don't know what it is. It's like a psychological switch that changes in some people's heads. And like, I get people on the Stairmaster. I don't know if you ever tried a Stairmaster. It's just a stair, and it's just hideous. It's horrible. But I get people and I say, right, go on level 5, which is an average pace, and see how long you can do. And normally people get 2 or 3, 4 minutes maybe first time they try it. And then within like a month, they're doing 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and they just can't believe the difference that level of fitness has gone up so quickly. But then that computes to them. That's at work. They no longer get the lift. They'll go up the stairs. Say they work in a big building like Manx Telecom. There's like 4 flights of stairs. They'll take the stairs every time rather than getting a lift. And then those little habits just keep.
Yeah, they compound, don't they?
Yeah, they compound over time, and then it's just
And do you have your own gym, or do you just when clients want to use gyms, you like suggest use A, B, and C?
I would never make a suggestion, primarily because it depends on the person and where they live. Like if someone lives in Manchester,
of course,
come to Douglas. But in Douglas, we've got a very good selection of gyms. We've got Prime, which is on Prospect Hill. That's like super modern and new. You've got Elite, which is 24/7. So that one's got a massive range of kit. Like there's pretty much 2 of everything in there. But the problem with that at the moment is it's always rammed between sort of 6, 7 a.m. and then 5 p.m. That's what you get from work. So people are trying to go earlier or later. So there'll be people in there at 10 o'clock tonight that I coach, or people that go at 4 a.m. I've got one client that's in there at 3 every morning. So they can go in from 3 till 4:30, get the workout done, get the cardio steps done, go home, have a shower, have breakfast, do all that sort of stuff, and then go to their normal job. And if they went at 6, they would just not get on the machine because it's too busy. So you've got those like 3 there, the 3 sort of main gyms. Obviously, Carrefour's closed. Ministry is going to open soon, which is kind of Carrefour relaunched. So that's going to be another gym. And you've got 1111, which is just opened as well, which is not as big, but it's definitely not as busy. So a lot of clients that are new to the gym, I would send straight away to 1111, because Kelly that runs it is super friendly. Like she'll take you around, show you the machines. And it's not intimidating, because it's not like you go into Elite, it's a bit more intimidating because a lot of the people have been there for years like me. Like if you went into the gym and see me like grunting with my vest on, you'd be thinking.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I did a pod a little while ago with Danny, and who I'm sure you know, Danny and Joe.
Yes.
And they've obviously built a gym, which is, like they say, the biggest challenge is getting through the door. Once you've got through the door, it's fine. And there's that, I suppose it's maybe more historic, sort of stereotypical meathead, don't go in there, it's intimidating. And I can relate to that. I've never been a gym person, but there is a certain amount of intimidation.
Yeah, Danny and Joe have made a community. It's more like a family in there. I think a lot of the CrossFits are like that, to be honest. A lot of them are like, it's the same group of people, and you see it from the outside. You're like, if I wasn't doing bodybuilding, I'd be doing CrossFit or I'd be doing high rocks. I'd do something like that just to be part of that. Like I was saying before, I never wanted to swim anymore because it's isolating. Bodybuilding is quite isolating because I might train with someone, but it's not a group thing. Whereas in there, it's like you go in and you've got a big group and everyone's chasing the same goal. So what they've built is like amazing for the island. Dan Bonnet had the first one with the Brandon one. They opened that, then you've got down south, and then you've got the Peel ones, and there's 4 of those now. And they've all kind of catered to different groups of people from different, like, geographic.
Yeah, there's a lot of gyms around, isn't there? If you think about it, even different formats. So there's a couple of things I want to chat. I want to go back to the conversation we were having around competition. So you were saying about categories for height. Is there then age categories within that as well? So you'll be like 40s, 50s, 50s, 60s, or whatever it might be.
So they have juniors, which is under 23.
Right.
As long as you're, I think it's something to do with the birth year. So if you turn 23 in that year and you just turned 24, you can still compete in that year. But it's like basically under 23 is junior, 23 to 35. I just turned 35 like 3 weeks ago. So now I'm a master. So master's over 35 and master's over 45. And then that's kind of your upper bracket then.
Right.
And the reason they do that is because there's people like me competing against 19, 20-year-old freaks. Not freaks, but like they've got really good genetics. They're going to burn fat.
There's a few people you call freaks so far. I want to see if you say it to the face.
Just like really gifted people, I suppose. And when I competed in my last show, there was 3 people for the there was basically you have to win. So I'll explain it in a way. So you win your class, which is high class. So you might have like short, medium, tall. Some of them do it in like under 171, under 174, under 178. And you kind of fall within those. So when you win that, say there's 10 people in your class and you win it, you get put into the overall, and then each person from each class. So say there's like 10 people and they go into the overall, and then the person that wins that typically wins the overall sword or trophy or whatever it might be.
Right.
And then there's pro qualifiers, which is normally a bigger show. And it's normally like, so this, like last year I did one in the Netherlands. That's the one I won. So there was 2 of those in the year. There was one like April time, and then there was one September. They do 2 a year. It's like a big event for the Netherlands. So I flew over to Venlo. We actually flew to Germany, drove into Venlo, and then competed at that show. And that was a pro qualifier. So won my class, got into the overall, and then I'm against a junior and a master.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's basically, I'm like the middle guy. I'm like the one that's not favourite to win because you never know who's going to be next year. But the junior was absolutely exceptional. He was like, when we got there, I seen him pumping up, and I thought, he's not going to win here because he's just like, he's young, he just looks great. And I was like, God. And then you see the master who's bigger than me, more muscle mass, he's older, he's been training longer, and I'm like, oh. And then when you're on stage, you always kind of put yourself down. You never go, I'm going to win this. You have to be really, really like cocky to do that. But then obviously they call my number out, and I'm like, all right, look down, just check my badges, mate. And then so nice. But yeah, like he's genetically very, very good. And he was a bit distraught afterwards. I went and spoke to him and I said, mate, I've been bodybuilding for 15 years. And I said, how old are you? And he's 21. So 21, mate. I was in someone's kitchen at 4 a.m. I just got back from the Outback, and he's there competing against me in Netherlands. So he'll probably get his card in the next couple of years. But everyone chases that pro card, that status. And once you've got it, like you compete for money. So when I said I did a surprise show last year, I won my pro card and I was like, that's me done. Threw the towel in, went to New York with the missus for a birthday, ate cheesecake, pizza, did literally every touristy thing you can do. Was in the Cheesecake Factory, was in, pretty much everywhere. Junior's Cheesecake, smashed it. And then come back, and then my coach was like, you don't look too bad. Do you want to do the show on the weekend? And I was like, well, I'm there anyway, because one of my wife's clients was competing. So I was like, well, I'm there anyway. And it was in Telford. So I was like, we're already there. He was like, right, just get a spray tan and go on stage. And you compete for money when you turn pro. So the top prize for that day was $2,500. And it was just one I did on a whim. So I was just like, I want to see where I stand. I literally I'm the newest rookie that's now got pro. I want to stand next to the people that have been winning. There's a guy called Ike, and call him the check collector because he just wins every single show. Oh, right. 2.5, and he wins like 5 shows a year. So he makes good money out of it. But I just wanted to stand next to him because he was the reigning sort of winner. He was on last because I was the last entry. I was on behind him. So I'm walking on, I'm poking him in the back, like, it's unreal. And he's like, he's dead nice guy. I went up and then he gets moved straight into the middle. So the middle's normally the person that's going to win. And I'm just like, I've got to stand next to him on stage. I've seen him for years. And so in terms of like, I suppose that side of things, I wanted to see where I stood and how far away I was from. And that's why I'm taking a longer break this time, because I want to go back and actually be probably close to the middle, if not in the top sort of 7.
Nice.
Say there's 20 people, they do it in call-outs, they'll bring out the first 7, they'll judge them all, move them around, and then that's how they decide the top 7. They then send them on, then they bring 8th to like 14th, bring them on. I was in that second call-out, which isn't great. You want to be in the first one, but it's my first proper pro show.
And can I ask about the judging? Because I cannot. Is the kind of set different again? Different federations they have, we look more for different types of, or does the whole sector just go through like there's always more focus on the certain areas of the body over certain periods of time? I'd imagine it's fairly subjective.
It's very subjective. There's normally 4 or 5 judges and they score you, just like in boxing type of thing. So it's not just bias, but depending on the federation. So I do PCA, which is the federation I like because it's more about condition, how lean you are. Whereas Two Bros, which is like the route to the Olympia and stuff like that, that's a different federation. I've done that, I've competed in that, I've won a couple of those shows. But I preferred the PCA. I just like the shows more. They're all in bigger arenas, and yeah, it's just in my opinion, it's a better federation. But you kind of that one's more about condition, and then Two Bros is more about like size and fullness.
Okay.
I like to be absolutely shredded.
So is it just areas they rate you in then?
Yeah. So
and then they total them up average.
And they rate you on like stage presence.
Okay.
They rate you on your appearance, your hair, and they even rate you on your tan.
Oh, okay.
So you do your own tan. You kind of you potentially lose points there for no reason. You can just go and pay 60 quid for the tan that they provide backstage, and you're going to go on and you're going to be immaculate.
Yeah, right.
Some people will be there like a B&Q roller, like rolling their own paint on, they're sweating everywhere. And their tan's slightly different to mine, and they might look like your jumper. And then you're not meant to be that dark, so he just literally gets moved to the edge because they don't want him in the winner's photos. So they're just like, he's last because of his tan. So you need to make sure everything's on point, to the point where I'll go to the Turkish barber the day before and I'll have everything like perfectly like done. I'll get my eyebrows done, my hair done, everything will be absolutely immaculate because I don't want to lose on like, say me and this guy have got exactly the same physique and we score exactly the same. Then they're just going to
bushy eyebrows.
They're going to go down to the person that's going to look best on their poster when they said, this is our winner.
Yeah, okay.
And it is a bit of a beauty pageant in that sort of respect as well. And it's the same with the girls as well. The girls are massive eyelashes, massive earrings, like jewellery. My missus does it and she gets probably an hour and a half makeup before it.
Right.
The bikini is like 500 quid.
Wow.
Makeup, the tan, the hair, the earrings, all that sort of stuff, extensions. Like, I just buy a pair of shorts for 60 quid, get my spray tan and kind of go on, get a haircut before.
Away you go.
Yeah, away you go.
Cool.
Yeah, because I was just going to ask, what does a pre-show look like when you're gathering there? Because I heard you use the word pumping up. Are people there doing exercises and things like that to make them? Like, what's that doing? Is that to try and like? Is that mentally or?
Let's just say peak. So you want to peak for that moment you're on stage. So the week before is like what they call peak week. So 7 days out, you're going to have, so that's a year and a half. So say on the first day, you might have 2 of those, 3 litres. The next day, you might have 4 litres, 5 litres, all the way up to maybe 10 litres. And then you'll drop that down to 4 litres the day before the show. So your body's over. It's basically just expelling the water. Like on a night out when you just constantly go to the toilet. It expels all the water. Your body goes into flush mode.
Oh, interesting.
It's like diuresis, basically. So all the water flushes out. The next day, then you have 4 litres and your body's like
right.
And then that's how you want to go on stage the next day. So you want to get rid of all the water. So
by drinking more, it flushes it out.
Exactly.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So that's what people do for the week up to it. Then your food will change. So on the first few days, you'll go really low carb because you're going to be drinking loads of water anyway. So you're going to load yourself with water, pull back the carbs, and what your body does is it uses all the energy. Your muscles go really flat and really small, and you feel like Voldemort and Harry Potter when he's all shriveled up. And then say your show's on a Saturday, probably normally for me a Wednesday and a Thursday, I'll heavily carb load. So I'll be eating, each meal I'll be probably having well over 1,000 grams of carbs, which is a huge amount. Like every meal is just like 800 grams of potato or 300 grams of uncooked rice, which is like mountains of rice, or cereal or squares bars. And you just feel like you're eating it and you're like, I feel dead guilty because you've got a show and you haven't eaten this much food for months. And then the day before the show, you pull that food back and that just refills the glycogen within your muscles. And then the water then gets pulled out. So you basically just like you've been shrink wrapped. Like if I move my fingers like that, my forearms, you'd see all of you'd see all of like the fibers and the muscle tendons and stuff twitching and stuff. And that's kind of how you want to go on stage. And then just before you go on stage, everyone's got their own rituals. Some people have Haribo, some people have salt and vinegar crisps because the salt makes you. Some people have alcohol. You see, last year there was someone with a bottle of JD, and he was swinging it, and he was like, "Do you want some?" No, no.
What's the thought process behind that?
Dehydration. So you're forcing your body again to dehydrate. So when you have alcohol and you wake up and you have a banging headache, it's dehydration because you drank so much alcohol. So what they do the night before, they'll drink a large glass of wine, maybe 2 glasses of red wine. They'll sleep there. They'll wake up. They're dehydrated. They're not drinking much water. It's risky because if you go on there and you're really dehydrated, you can faint, you collapse, and that sort of thing. But then throughout the day, you're just sipping enough just to like keep your mouth dry and just to feel a bit normal. Mostly on the day, I'll normally take a paracetamol because I will get a headache from dehydration in the morning. So that's part of my morning routine. Get up, have my paracetamol, and I'm normally all right for the show then. But it's backstage, everyone's pumping up. You've got bands, you've got dumbbells, you're doing press ups just before you're about to go on. Like I'm talking like 20 seconds before you go on. And for me, like if I'm pumping up, I'm getting out of breath. So I'm like, right, when I know I'm about a minute away, I'll just kind of just stand there and I'll try and catch my breath. Because when you're out there, you can't blow your stomach out. You have to be tense the whole time.
Right.
So it's almost like really controlled breathing, which is why going in an ice bath is probably quite beneficial to help you with that sort of guided breathing.
Yeah.
But I go on stage and I'm like, and then I can hear my coach, the loudest guy in the room, and he's going, air out. And I can see, get that air out. You're dying for like 20 weeks and you're blowing your stomach out. It's, it is. For the girls as well, like some of the girls' ones, they basically suck in and they have to like stay upright and they have to stick their glutes out, and the lower back pain you get from that, because I've done it taking the piss. I've been like hitting that pose and I do it for like a minute. I'm like, my camera back. My missus was up there at the Sweden show. There was 26 girls, I think, in her class. Each one of them had to do their individual routine that's 30 seconds long. Then the next one comes on. So she was up there for like 15 minutes, holding that pose, not breathing really, dehydrated.
And that routine again is personal to you?
Yeah, so the girls will come out and hit like 3 poses. In the show I do, you get 30 seconds to hit whatever you want. You're not judged on it. It's just like, so you've got some stage photos, and rather than coming out standing there. And
okay.
It's just a bit.
Understood.
What would you be choosing poses there to
emphasize?
Certain parts. Yeah.
Well, these are the ones you're going to get photos for. They're not going to. They're not going to watch you and go, well, he's got an extra point for that, because they've already done the judging. They do the judging, and then they'll let everyone do their routine.
Right. Okay.
So for me, that's like anyone that's paid to come and watch me. Like that's for them. That's the entertainment for them. Yeah. So like I'll see them in the audience, like obviously give them like a wave and that sort of thing. And then you're thinking, right, these are going to be photos that I get to keep forever. Yeah. So when I'm a 70-year-old man, hopefully I'll look back and be like, oh, remember that one? And like there's one that I did this time where I don't normally do it. I kind of did that pose and I've never done that one. Because it's not a men's physique pose, it's more an open bodybuilding. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And I did it. And then I've got that as a stage photo. Really cool. So it's, each one's different. I've got different shorts for every show. Okay. So you just you're making memories really. You're just trying to remember what you've been capable of when you were younger. So I can show people in years' time, because you always get that guy that goes, I used to do this. And you're like, did you? Oh, here's my
photos. Can I ask from a, I think you touched on it earlier, from a health perspective, what you do in that space? It's assumably ultimately not a healthy thing, the up, down. Yeah. How does that do you in your head think there's just a lifespan for how long you want to do this for your own health?
Yeah, I've been doing it, I want to say properly, with a coach and proper nutrition and competing. Started when I was about 20. So I was always in the gym and I was always training and stuff. And then when I was 20, hired a coach, did a photo shoot, like I said, got this newfound confidence in myself. So I want to do a show. So then I hired another coach who was more of like a prep show. He'd put people on stage, and then I signed up with him for about a year, did a bulk, started using anabolics at that point, which is obviously not good for your health, but did it in a very sensible manner. So the guy I employed would make sure that I did my bloods like every 3 months to make sure that nothing was off, and I'd have to get heart scans and like the full belt and braces to make sure that you're doing it in the most safe way you can. And then that's when I started to think this is really cool actually, because he's checking all this and making sure that like my iron levels are optimal and my testosterone levels and my estrogen's not gone up. And it's almost like you're trying to do a pH in a pool and you're trying to make that absolutely perfect so that it's not too, one way or another. So you micromanage absolutely everything from nutrition to what you're taking, supplements. And my supplements started growing from just having a multivitamin from Tesco to taking like loads of omegas to try and keep my cholesterol in a good place. And then because my when you take anabolics, your sort of hemoglobin and hematocrit gets thicker, red blood cell, and that makes it harder for your heart to pump the blood around. So that's why people have heart attacks when they're not sensible, because the blood gets thicker and it's like pumping like tar. So that's why people have heart attacks. Typically bodybuilders, they just don't take anything. So then you start putting stuff in that helps with the thickness of your red blood cells, like baby aspirin, for example. And then you go from there into like, okay, now they've got this supplement, there's a powder that you take and it keeps your blood like and you have to take your blood pressure twice a week. And it's all micromanaging the health side of it, just to make sure that I'm being as optimal as possible, but also being as safe as possible with it. So yeah, that side of things is it's a bit risky, but like to be where you need to be, you can compete naturally, and you can compete like with no sort of resistance at all, but like basically creatine and protein is all you're allowed. And those sort of federations that just do that. But I wanted to go down the route of, I wanted to be a freak show, so I didn't want to just go and do a natural one. I wanted to like take a little bit of like a fat, like they're not illegal, they're sort of, they're legal to possess and stuff, but I wanted to go down that route where it's like you're pushing your body, and then once you start one thing, it's one thing to another, and then all of a sudden you're like 100 kilos. Yeah, you don't feel very fit at all. When I'm competing, I feel fit because I've got cardio and my weight comes down 30 kilos, so I feel amazing. Right now, I don't. Like if I got chased by your dog, I would not get very far.
Lots to chew on as well.
Yeah. It would be fed for months. But yeah, health wise, there is things that do happen. Like you have health scares. I had one of the break heart strong things, cardiac things. And that come back with an irregular thing, and I had to go in and get an ultrasound, and then that starts freaking you out, and you think you're going to die every couple of days. And then I got sent to Liverpool to have like a full-on MRI, and then they come back and just said, you were normal, you're fine. Slight sort of growth on the left part of your heart, but it's because you're more muscular and you've got more blood to pump around. You've got more muscle to pump blood around too. So I now have to go every 2 years just to keep an eye on that.
Okay.
That's on the NHS, so that's actually pretty decent. I don't mind paying national insurance now. I actually get something from it. I've only broke my arm once. Probably the only time I've actually used the NHS. Now I get every 2 years go and have a full MRI, and they put the little monitors on just to check.
Check everything's all right.
But that's something you have to keep an eye on to make sure. And my supplements. So I've got a supplement company.
Yeah, so go on. I was going to talk about that. You kindly bought these in as well.
So one of the things I decided to do was whenever you've got a cost, like the best thing you can do is provide that as a service. So my costs, say I'm spending £400 a month on supplements. Why not open a supplement company so I get them cheaper, and then I can sell them to other people and provide that, because there's no one over here that really does it. You got Holland and Barrett, you got Tesco. You could probably go to Boots and get some like multivitamins and stuff like that, but there's nothing specific really for bodybuilders. And if you want to buy protein, you're going to be getting like not the best stuff, or you might only get the choice of chocolate or strawberry or vanilla like you used to back in the day. We sell like 40 odd flavors now. Cookies and cream, carrot cake, red velvet, like all unbelievable flavors, but no one stocks them over here because they don't ship to the Isle of Man. So I've got an agreement with Form.
Okay.
So we get all of their stock now. We're like the main dealer of them on the Isle of Man. Probably in the Northwest, I think he said, like we're one of their biggest clients now, because we basically supply the whole of the Isle of Man with their stuff. We sell other stuff as well, different brands. There's loads of different brands we do. We even sell like My Protein stuff as well.
Oh, okay.
This is like premium, and My Protein's a little bit cheaper. But my mum doesn't need premium protein; she just needs something with protein, for example. So we do sell like from one end to the other in terms of quality and price. Well, that was one of my biggest expenditures every month. I'd look at my bank statement and I'd like £500 last month I spent on protein, creatine, EAs, electrolytes. Like you've got there, electrolytes. I'd be spending a fortune on omegas and cod liver oil and like krill oil. And just every time I did a blood test, I'd be like, oh, maybe I should put some krill oil in because that's going to help bring that level more down or whatever it might be. And then it was like, all of a sudden I was spending £500 a month. And I was thinking, that's expensive. Obviously, if I own the company, I get a cost price and I get X VAT on it as well. So I was like, let's just set up a company. And that's kind of how I'd already started coaching by that point as well. And everyone was saying to me, where should I get the protein? What flavour's the best? How long will it take to get here? Someone's ordering it from like Dolphin Fitness. It's taking 5 days to get here. That's 5 days that they're behind. And nobody ever goes, oh, I've got 10 scoops in there, I better order another one. They wait until they get down to the last bit. They're shaking the tub up and go, better order another one. It's always the way, whereas we now do same day delivery. So if you ordered today before 1 o'clock, be at your house before 6. So like that's the service we now provide to the island.
And with your client, do you find then the client, will you be do some clients then want blood tests to help, or will it be, well, so we just know your routine, I'd recommend you just take a bit of this, a bit of that. There's a bit of mix of both.
I don't coach many competitors, like I said at the start. Most of mine are lifestyle, but I do have a large amount of men that say, I think I've got low testosterone, and it's probably the most common thing I get. Before I have a sales call, they'll say, can I have a call? I'll jump on the call and it'll be about low testosterone. I've got, the first thing is like low energy, low drive, no motivation, low sex drive, libido's gone, lack of muscle mass, big gain in fat, all of the basic symptoms of testosterone. And then if you send them to the NHS, this is the problem my gripe with them is they look at a range from say 10 to 30 as normal, but that's a range that includes like my 90-year-old granddad, whose testosterone is probably at 3. So he's dragging that average right down. So then when you go and get a test and you're 11, you shouldn't be 11 at your age. You should be at 15, for example. So they're going to say, no, you're normal, see you later. And they just kind of fob you off. So a lot of people now go private and get a proper private test. And then they can go down the TRT route and get it prescribed. But it gets expensive. You have to pay privately for the blood test. You've got to pay privately to have the blood taken. Then you have to pay privately for your prescription to be written. But then you can get it on the NHS and pay £2.75 or whatever it is. And then they can even get like a gel or an injection. But that's kind of the only users that I've got that actually use it. I suppose you could call it an enhancement, but it's just literally to bring them out of the shit. Because you don't want to be anyone that's below like 8. You are going to be suffering with night sweats, like hormonal issues. You're probably just going to. Everyone thinks of like roid rage. You probably get actually worse anger from having low testosterone.
Oh, okay.
Just because you're just frustrated with everything. Because you need testosterone in your body. And it gets every year it decreases.
And then, I was going to say, and then. Do you then help manage that? Okay, there's that NHS, there's the NHS side, should we say, or the doctor referral route. Do you then build, is it food, plan, exercise? That's what you then come in and look at.
The call for someone with low testosterone is make sure that your body's in a decent BMI. BMI, again, I don't really agree with it, but you can tell if someone's overweight. So I'll say, right, let's get you fit. Let's get some good protein in there. Let's start lifting weights. That's all going to start increasing your testosterone. Let's try that for 3 months. When you get to a good place, do a test. And then they do that test and they might be still really low. I had a 22-year-old last week and he was like 11. And I was thinking, God, like that's like a 70-year-old man's levels of testosterone. I don't know why he was so low. And then he's gone to the NHS and they've just said, no, you're in the normal range by like 0.1%. I'm like, that's not normal.
Yeah, I'm 19, mate, or whatever.
Yeah, like I don't even fancy my girlfriend. What's going on? So it's like people like that, but then they've got no choice but to either go privately or just go and buy it, like and administer themselves. And if they're going to do it, they want someone that knows who's done it themselves, and I can look at their bloods and go, right, you need to put this in, or that's a little bit off, right? We need to add this in. You need to take this supplement to bring that number down.
Yeah, right.
And it's best they're doing that with some sort of guidance, because when I first started using, I was like 21, 22, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just went and bought it off the biggest guy in the gym, stabbed at myself with it, and then I didn't do a blood test until I was, like I said, with the proper coach when that was probably 2021. 2020. That's my first blood test, but I've been using for 6 years before that.
Right.
Just blindly, completely blind. Didn't know what my levels were, like any of it. And I look back now and I think I could have killed myself. Like that could have been really dangerous. And now at least I can use sort of knowledge that I've got. And there's no qualification I can do. Like I wish I could go and say I'm a qualified
testosterone.
But the only way I can do that is to go and do 6 years at uni and become a doctor. And
then all you can tell them is the range they need to be at.
I have to just refuse them. Go and lose some more weight.
So all the supplement then in regard to, so I asked this question because I tend to try and get a blood test privately every 6 months or a year. Will you then, will clients look at that and just other kind of things, the omegas, the general, my iron levels low? Will you encourage clients looking at that type of thing as well?
I just had blood tests back from a girl I coach. The girls are obviously a little bit different, but the girls, you're not really looking at the hormone levels. If they're green, they're green. Like if they're in range, they're normally in range. It's normally like B12. I think on this one was really high. And I said, what are you taking? So she was taking a multivitamin and a B12. But the multivitamin had more than enough B12 in there for her. But she doesn't know that because she's just gone in and said, like, I've seen online that B12 gives you more energy, so I've taken 2 of those. And the people end up getting the gummies, and because the gummies taste nice, they just had a vitamin C and a vitamin D and a vitamin E and a vitamin F, and then having a multivitamin, and then all of a sudden they're actually taking too much. And that can be just as bad as taking too little as well. So the supplements that most people need is D3 and K2, because you get that from the sun, and we don't, let's be honest, have the sun. When I went away, because I was away at Christmas, my wife got a test when she got back, and her D3 was 300% where it should be, because we'd been in the sun for 2 weeks. But then if she got a test like in March, she'd probably be like at the bottom of the range if she wasn't supplemented. So we take D3, like most people take D3. It's my main supplement to take. It's going to help with immune function and all that sort of good stuff, energy levels. So D3 is like a staple, and it's so cheap. It's like £6 a month. So you've got that. You've got vitamin C for general immune. Multivitamin kind of covers all the boxes. So they're the 3 that I would always insist people take. And then creatine. And you've probably read a lot. I've seen a lot about creatine recently, because it's rather than just being, that's something you take to go to the gym and get strong. it's cognitive function. Yeah, it's Alzheimer's, dementia.
Yeah.
Like if you search creatine, you'll just find so many
The
research
studies.
papers.
Yeah.
It's the most studied, researched thing that's not actually approved by the FDA.
All right. Okay.
Because you put it in your body, but it's actually, you can extract it from food. You get it from steak and chicken.
What the study's saying, like 10 grams, like again, not from a bodybuilding perspective, just a.
It's normally a gram per 10 kilos. So
Okay.
80 kilo, 80 grams is kind of how
Yeah.
we roughly do it.
Right.
Most females between 50 and 70. So like normally one decent scoop is like 5-6 grams.
Yeah.
So that's normally enough. And then for men, I just say double the scoops.
Right.
And it's cheap again for a kilo bag, which is huge. Probably lasts you about 3 months. It'll cost you like 15 quid.
Yeah. We were chatting actually with, who was it? Clara. She was talking about creatine, and I must say I do try and take it when I can. What I've noticed, and I don't know whether, interestingly, then some free advice. When I take it, I pee a lot after it.
Okay.
Is that common?
Yeah, it's all water balance. That's why.
Right.
What it should do when you have creatine, everyone thinks it's going to make you bloat. What it actually does is it pulls water into the muscles. You need to drink more water when you're on it because it's going to absorb water from when you're drinking it.
Your stores.
It's going to go from your stores and suck it into the muscle.
Okay.
And what it does, it's basically just it's ATP, so it's your muscle's primary energy source. So you'll have more endurance. You'll be able to do, say you're sprinting, you'll be able to sprint for an extra 2 seconds, or you're lifting weights, you might get one extra rep. And that one extra rep means you're going to have more hypertrophy of the muscle and same for fitness levels. So it's a magic supplement. It's going to help you recover. It's going to help you. There's a lot of research into Alzheimer's.
Yeah, there is.
So much, and dementia as well. And it's very common. Like my granddad's really struggling with his dementia now. He's 90, like I said. So, but I was saying to my mum, like, if we'd given that 10 years ago, I'd love to have done it every day. I'd love to see what he'd be like right now. He probably would know who I was.
And it's quite hard, like just human nature, isn't it? But you're not thinking 10 or 50. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? But like, I think, and that's part of the reason I started taking it. I'm 50 this year, and I'm like, this is not for today or tomorrow, really. Yeah, it might help me on the bike, but it's for when I'm 70, 80, and hopefully I'll never know what I wouldn't have been like, but increase my odds.
Probably just not as remember, like you'll be a bit more forgetful than 5 years ago. Like I know I am. Like I forget my cousins, or my cousin's got a baby, I'm like, oh, kid's name now. Like 5 years ago, I'd just be able to recall them all. So you do lose your memory over time, but you can prevent that from taking creatine. So my mum puts 5 grams in her porridge every morning. It's unflavoured, you don't taste it. So like saying to my dad,
what's the downside?
Put it in your pint, Dad. Just get it in your car.
Get it in your chips.
Yeah, as long as you've got it in there. It's and it's so cheap, and I think everyone should take it. It's one of those supplements that, like, it's so inexpensive and it's so accessible. You can get it anywhere. It's just not very fun.
It's probably a bit of a PR exercise, I guess, around creatine. Like you say, it's certainly, if you'd asked me a year ago, I'd have been like, oh, it's for putting on mass and a cyclist. That's the last thing you want to be doing.
A lot of girls, you tell them to take it, especially females that you just started trying to lose weight with. Oh, it's going to make you gain weight, and it will, because you'll gain probably about 1 kilogram of water weight within the muscle. And I'm like, but it's not going to your belly. It's going into the muscle. So you might gain weight, but it's not fat you've gained. You're probably just going to lose 1 kilogram of fat, gain 1 kilogram of muscle, or not muscle fullness from water. And then you're going to stand on the scale. It's going to be exactly the same weight. They want to see the scale down. So it's that first couple of weeks where they start to load it, and it takes normally around 10 days. 10 days to 14 days, and you'll be at sort of peak. And it's almost like filling a cup. So your cup is like, say you've got a pint. Once you've got it full, every day you're going to take 10% out, and then that scoop of creatine fills it back up. If you start doing like 60, 70 grams, it just overspills. But there's a lot of science and research into that. 10 grams is like the magic number for cognitive function, strength. And there's a lot now into female health as well, like irregular cycles, which is quite common in some women as well. It helps with that hormone. So it'll help regulate their cycles. It'll help with all their hormone imbalances and stuff like that. My missus refuses today because she just doesn't believe in it. But I'm like, take creatine. Stop putting coffee in the morning.
I think that's what Clara was saying she does with Andy. It's been an hour, which goes like that. But thank you, Danny. Obviously, very, I'm sure there's a lot more we could talk about, but a lot of information. You can clearly see you know your shit, as they say. So thanks for your time, and thanks for the lesson on bodybuilding that Matt and I can take away and bulk up on.
See you in the gym.
Great. It's word out from On.
And word out from Matt.
Poor flimsy humans. Don't you wish you were flawless like me? A towering inferno of physical perfection?
I hate to pop your blimp-like ego, but you're not perfect.